we have certain main rules, and after that we can have a parliament, or we can have opposition, or we can have a ruling party. This is another thing that we can have here. So if there is an unjust ruler, we have as a Muslim a duty to oppose that ruler, to tell him that you are wrong. And even there is certain tradition for the Prophet of Islam saying that the best type of jihad, the best type of jihad, struggling for the sake of God, for the sake of Allah, is to say a truthful word in the face or in the presence of an unjust ruler. So you have a very dictator, very strong. You know that if you oppose him, he will kill you. And then, as a Muslim, you stand him and you say you are wrong. You have done so and so. This is not supposed to be done. Why this is the best type of struggle for the sake of God? Because this dictator might kill you at once. This is even much more dangerous than being in the battle fighting against the enemy of Islam who is fighting against you. Because maybe you would be safe, maybe you will not be killed as a soldier. But in that position, when you oppose an unjust ruler, maybe there will be no chance for you to be safe. They might just take him or take her, finish him. So the Muslim have the right not to oppose him. This is not an invitation for chaos or whatever. This is just, how to say, an invitation that we should stand against injustice. Oppose injustice. Oppose injustice, yes.
I have a question. In Hong Kong, rule of law is our core value. And the judicial decision is the supreme, no matter which religion you are.
Yes.
And I would like to know about Muslim country. Religions, maybe Islam, is it equal basis of the judicial decisions, or is on the top of the judicial system? That is,
yeah.
Because I'm
from actually, yeah. Let us talk about the Islamic law, not maybe even what Muslim countries are doing. Islam actually recognize the other parts. Those people who live in a Muslim society, they have the same rules, the same rules or the same rights and the same obligations like a Muslim living in that country. If we have, for example, other religions living in a Muslim country, they have the right to organize themselves for their own personal or religious affairs away. The Muslim government should not interfere. For example, they have a certain way of conducting marriage or divorce, or way of building their own structures of worship. The Muslim government should not interfere with these things. These are their affairs. But publicly, if, for example, we have Islamic law saying that no usury. No usury means no interest on whatever. And we have an Islamic law concerning this in a Muslim country. So everybody should follow that, because this is the general rule which the majority of the people living in that country accept as a rule or as a law. So the idea is that is not that we take a certain rule and we apply. There are some people who sit down and say item 1, item 2, article 1, article 3, and what's agreed with Islam, what does not agree with Islam. And after that, there will be a general rule which will be governed by the govern everybody living in the Muslim state. However, just the main thing that we need to understand that Islam recognizes the rights of the other people in their own life, to live upon what his religion says. Like, for example, Muslims should not drink wine, must not drink wine. But if you have a certain person who's not a Muslim, he can drink wine, but drink wine in your own home. Don't go out and drink it outside. Right? Muslim should not eat pork. How about a Muslim living in a Muslim country? Can he eat pork? Yes, he can eat pork. So certain things allowed by his own religion, he can do it. But, we have a general rule, organizing the whole life outside. So everybody should follow that rule. You do not need to follow the, Islam to be forced or whatever. Islam recognizes the right to live freely. And actually, sometimes people say, oh, this is, this is Islam or other religions do not oppress others or whatever. But we have examples. As a Muslim, we have examples for that. We have Islam rules, for example, in different countries, like in Egypt, or even in Spain and Portugal before. Spain and Portugal was part of Europe. Spain and Portugal, this was a Muslim country before. You have Muslims who are ruling. They are majority of these countries. You have Christians. You have Jews. This was a wonderful, even by Western people, they are not Muslims, they recognized that that example at that time was one of the most wonderful examples of tolerance among the people. You have, in a Muslim country, a minister who is a Jew. Even sometimes we have the medical doctor for the caliph or the ruler of the Muslim state who is a Christian. And at that time, no prejudice even at that time. So this tolerance in Islam is established, not only by words, even by practice. This is a long time ago, in many different, I would say, Muslim states, Islamic states. Yes, sir.
Actually, just
comment or anything, please.
thank you for the excellent presentation. I think it was very.
Jazakallah khair, jazakallah.
So, just because maybe I thought if I can request if we can have one more session later on, if time permits, on the divisions of Sharia. I think that is something which should be relevant for us. If you can, share with us sometime later, that's great. So, do you have something like to say? What about a small thing like anger, for example?
Like sir?
Anger.
Yeah.
So that is something which is a very important issue that anybody can face. Right from a household issue to which can lead on to a lot of things. So what does the religion have to say about anger, for example? It's a very small thing.
For example, like we have a verse in the Holy Quran, وَالْقَاضِمِينَ الْغَيْظَ وَالْعَافِينَ عَنِ النَّاسِ, that gives great glad tidings for the one who can curb his own, who can control his own anger. And even there is a certain tradition where a certain person say to the Prophet, peace be upon him, "Our sin, give me an advice, give me a certain recommendation." He told him, "La taqtab, don't be angry." So he said, "Our sin, Ya Rasulullah, give me another advice." The Prophet he said, "La taqtab." For the third time, even La taqtab, 3 times, saying to that person, "La taqtab." So there is certain recommendation from the Prophet that a person should control his own anger. And even there is certain things when a person do it, when he's angry, is not valid. You know, for example, like we have divorce and sometimes between husband and wife. If a husband would like to divorce his wife when he's angry, and really he doesn't know what he's saying, this is not considered as divorce. It's not valid.
Thank you.
Thank you, brother.
You were very hard-working and very good presentation. And according to your question, I just want to add one saying of the Holy Prophet. It was asked to the Holy Prophet, who is a brave person? The Holy Prophet said, the one who defeats someone in the battlefield is not the brave person. Because we have the perception, we have the idea, if there is some kind of war or some kind of, the competition between 2 persons, and then you judge the people with their physical, competency. No. The Holy Prophet said, the one who controls his anger at the time he overcomes his anger, that is a brave person. So you see these things in our practical life. People can do a lot of hard job, but when it comes to control their anger, it's so difficult. The Holy Prophet said, gave an advice to the companions of the Holy Prophet. He said, the one who overcomes, he who controls his anger, he is the brave person. So complement to that, that's the brother quoted the verse from the Holy Quran, وَالْقَاضِمِينَ الْغَيْظَ وَالْعَافِينَ عَنِ النَّاسِ. So that's the time for today's session. So see you inshallah in the next session, because the next prayer time is coming and the people have to wrap up the things. And the Arabic class, we have to get ready for that. Once again, thank you.
Thank you.
And please, if you have given the evaluation form, please do take and leave your comments on the evaluation form for our internal evaluation. Please. Thank you.
How's your leg?
Yes,
No, so we don't have to go after the
But they usually you're going through your job nowadays?
very much.
Okay, thank you.
What do you feel about the presentation of Islam?
Yeah, there's certain things we should. There's rivers in the land.